The accidental sugar baby continued. Because here was her problem. She wasn't supposed to want Orm like this. This was supposed to be fun, easy, temporary. But now? Now she was thinking about what it would feel like to wake up next to Orm every morning. And that was very dangerous. Orm sat in Lingling's ridiculously soft bed, arms crossed, staring at the ceiling like it had all the answers. She was supposed to be a broke artist, not some kind of accidental high-class mistress. She was supposed to be charming and chaotic, not a shaking, needy mess just because a sexy CEO had whispered against her skin. She was supposed to be getting the hell out of here before things got complicated. And yet, here she was, still in Lingling's penthouse, still burning from her touch, still completely wrecked. God, I'm so dumb, she groaned, flopping onto the mattress. The bathroom door clicked open, and Orm immediately shot up again, eyes glued to the doorway like a moth to a flame. Lingling stepped out, wrapped in nothing but a towel, damp hair spilling over her shoulders like some kind of goddess. Orm's brain short-circuited. Something wrong? Lingling smirked, clearly catching the way Orm's eyes were devouring her. Nope, no problem at all. Totally fine. So fine, Orm blurted, voice cracking like a pubescent teenager. Lingling chuckled, striding toward the closet. Good, but Orm noticed something tiny but dangerous. Lingling looked hesitant, like she was thinking too much, like something was messing with her head. Orm narrowed her eyes. You okay? Lingling froze for half a second too long before smoothly continuing. Why wouldn't I be? I don't know. You're being all pensive and mysterious, Orm said, squinting, like you're trying to solve the meaning of life or something. Lingling let out a soft, amused sigh. You're imagining things. No, hold on. Orm hopped out of bed, making a beeline for her. You're acting weird. Lingling turned to face her, crossing her arms, towel slipping dangerously lower. Orm's brain immediately forgot all words. Distracted? Lingling teased. Shut up, Orm whined, covering her face. Lingling laughed, then took a slow step closer. Too close, toe-curlingly close, and just like that, the teasing was back. Were you thinking about me in bed, sweetheart? Lingling whispered, dangerously amused. Orm let out a choked noise. What? No, Lingling hummed, tilting Orm's chin up with a single finger. Are you sure? Orm wasn't sure of anything anymore. Lingling leaned in, lips brushing against Orm's ear. Do you want me to finish what I started? Orm physically shivered. She wanted to say no. She wanted to resist. She wanted to prove she wasn't falling for Lingling like an idiot. But when Lingling's lips skimmed her neck, soft and teasing, Orm completely collapsed against her. Oh. My God, Orm whimpered, clutching Lingling's towel like it was a lifeline. Lingling smiled against her skin. That's what I thought. Orm was so doomed. But just as Lingling was about to absolutely ruin her again, bzzzt, another phone call. Lingling groaned against Orm's shoulder, voice husky with pure frustration. I am going to kill someone. Orm was about to cry real tears. Lingling pulled back, grabbing her phone with a scowl, but the moment she saw the caller ID, her expression shifted, from annoyed to serious. Orm blinked, suddenly uneasy. Lingling sighed, running a hand through her damp hair. I have to take this. And just like that, she was back to business mode, back to being the untouchable CEO, back to hiding whatever the hell she was feeling. Orm watched her retreat onto the balcony, talking in low, clipped tones, and something in her chest twisted. This wasn't just fun and games anymore, not for Orm, and, if Lingling's hesitation meant anything, maybe not for her either. Orm couldn't stop staring. Lingling stood on the balcony, phone pressed to her ear, looking like an actual goddess. Hair still damp, silk robe draped loosely over her shoulders, exposing just enough to be unfair. Her expression, though? Completely unreadable. Orm hated it. because for the first time since this whole sugar baby accident started, she realized she actually wanted to know what was going on inside Lingling's head, which was dangerous. Orm tried to shake it off, but her eyes kept drifting back to Lingling's tensed shoulders, the way she exhaled slowly before speaking again. Was she stressed? Was she hiding something? Was this about her? Wait. No, that's stupid. Orm, stop being an idiot. But even when Lingling finally ended the call and stepped back inside, Orm couldn't ignore the way her mood had shifted. Okay, what was that? Orm asked, arms crossed. Lingling blinked. What? Orm gestured wildly. That! You were all broody and serious out there. Lingling let out a soft laugh, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. It's nothing. Oh, hell no. Orm marched right up to her. You don't get to tease me half to death and then act all mysterious and distant. Lingling smirked. So you admit I was teasing you half to death? Lingling. Lingling sighed, running a hand through her hair. It was just work. Orm squinted. Lies. Lingling arched a brow. Excuse me? You literally changed the subject faster than my bank account hits 0, Orm said, narrowing her eyes further. So spill. Lingling tilted her head, clearly amused, but also clearly deflecting. Are you always this nosy? Orm crossed her arms. Are you always this emotionally unavailable? Silence. Lingling's smirk flickered. Just for a second. Got. Her. You are unbelievable, Lingling finally said, shaking her head. You invited me here, babe. Lingling froze. Orm saw it, the way her shoulders stiffened just slightly, the way her lips parted like she was about to say something, but stopped herself. Oh, that word got to her. Interesting, Orm grinned. What? You're fine teasing me to death, but you get flustered when I call you babe? Lingling recovered quickly, tilting her chin up. I do not get flustered. Lies. I'm literally your sugar mommy right now. Are you, though? Orm shot back, stepping closer, closing the distance. Lingling stilled. Their bodies were almost touching, and Orm could feel the tension humming between them, thick and electric. Orm's voice softened. I think you like me. Lingling's expression remained perfectly neutral. Do you? I think you do, Orm said, testing her limits, trailing her fingers lightly down Lingling's wrist, watching the way Lingling's breathing hitched. Just barely, Orm grinned. And I think that scares you. Lingling grabbed Orm's wrist, fast, firm, but not rough. Orm's breath caught, because Lingling was looking at her differently now. No teasing. No smug smirk, just something darker, something dangerous. You think you figured me out, sweetheart? Lingling murmured, pulling Orm closer, so close their lips almost touched. Orm swallowed. Hard. Lingling's eyes flickered to her. Lips. And then, slowly, deliberately. She leaned in, lips brushing just barely against Orm's cheek instead, whispering, I think you have no idea what you've gotten yourself into. And just like that, she let go and stepped back. Orm's knees almost buckled. She was so screwed. Orm refused to break first. She refused to be the one to snap, to melt, to admit that Lingling had her wrapped around her stupid, elegant little finger, so she did the only thing that made sense. She fought back. The next morning, Orm strolled into the kitchen wearing one of Lingling's shirts, big enough to drown her frame but still just short enough to be dangerous. Lingling, already sipping her morning espresso, froze. Orm saw it. That tiny moment where Lingling's eyes dragged over her legs, up to the way the fabric hung off one shoulder, leaving just enough skin exposed to drive her crazy. But then, as if catching herself, Lingling cleared her throat, looking deeply unimpressed. Help yourself to my closet, why don't you? She said dryly. Orm grinned. Oh, don't worry, I already have. Lingling's fingers tightened around her cup. Victory. Orm grabbed a banana from the counter, peeling it slowly, deliberately. Lingling exhaled sharply through her nose. I see. What you're doing, she muttered, taking another sip of coffee. What? Orm asked, all fake innocence. I'm just having breakfast. Lingling gave her a long, unreadable look. Then, without a word, she reached for a croissant, tore a piece off with her teeth, and chewed in the most infuriatingly slow, smug way possible. Orm almost choked. This woman. This evil, powerful, unreasonably hot woman. Fine. Game on. Tension level. Out of control. The entire day was a battle, a war of restraint, a never-ending push and pull that had them both hanging on by a thread. Every time Orm got close, Lingling pulled away just in time. Every time Lingling teased, Orm flipped it right back. A brush of fingers here, a lingering glance there. Nothing obvious, nothing too much. Just enough. Enough to make it unbearable. By the time the sun had set, Orm was 1 second away from screaming, and judging by the way Lingling was clenching her jaw, she was just as wrecked. Still, neither of them broke first. Not during dinner. Not during wine on the balcony. Not even when Orm leaned over just a little too close, brushing her lips near Lingling's ear as she whispered, "You're staring again." Lingling's breath hitched, but she still held the line. "Oh, sweetheart," she murmured back, voice dangerously low. "You have no idea what staring really looks like." Orm almost collapsed. Lingling smirked, but Orm saw it, the way Lingling's hands curled into fists, like she was barely holding herself back. Oh, this was bad. This was so bad. They were both hanging by a thread, and then the thread snapped. It started out casual, too casual, like neither of them were one breath away from ruining each other. Lingling sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone, looking like she hadn't spent the entire day trying not to devour Orm whole. Orm, meanwhile, was sprawled on the other side, trying desperately to pretend she wasn't on the verge of grabbing Lingling by the collar and climbing onto her lap. She could feel it, the tension hanging so thick between them it was suffocating. Single spark and this whole thing would go up in flames. Orm fidgeted. Crossed her legs, uncrossed them, bit her lip. Lingling's jaw clenched. Orm smirked. Got her. She turned, slow and lazy. Something wrong? Lingling exhaled through her nose. You fidget too much. You stare too much. Lingling's grip on her phone tightened. I do not stare. You do, though. Orm shifted closer, dangerously close, testing. Lingling didn't move away. Orm grinned. It's okay, babe. I know I'm distracting. Lingling's eyes darkened. Oh, that did something. Orm leaned in even more, lips almost brushing Lingling's jawline. Admit it. Lingling's breathing shallowed, and then Lingling grabbed Orm's wrist, firm, tight, like she'd finally reached her limit. Orm froze. Lingling's voice was low, dangerous, wrecked. You have no idea what you're playing with. Orm's heart pounded. Lingling wasn't teasing anymore. She was warning her, and God help her, Orm had never wanted someone more. Orm licked her lips, watching the way Lingling's eyes flickered down to her mouth. Maybe I do. Lingling let out a breath, sharp, frustrated. And then she snapped. In one smooth motion, Lingling yanked Orm onto her lap, straddling her, lips crashing into hers, deep, desperate, punishing. Orm's brain short-circuited. She barely had time to gasp before Lingling's hands slid up her back, pulling her in tighter, hotter, deeper. Orm moaned into her mouth, clutching at Lingling's shoulders like she was the only thing keeping her grounded. Lingling's grip tightened on Orm's waist, guiding her hips, pressing her down just right. Orm gasped, head tipping back, and Lingling immediately took advantage, trailing hot, open-mouthed kisses down her throat. Oh my God, Orm whimpered, fingers tangling into Lingling's hair. Lingling chuckled against her skin. I warned you, sweetheart. Shut up, Orm groaned, grinding down experimentally. Lingling cursed under her breath, grip tightening. Orm felt powerful, until Lingling suddenly flipped them, pinning Orm against the couch, her body pressed firm and hot against her. Orm's breath hitched. Oh, Lingling smirked, triumphant. What was that? Orm glared. I said oh in a very dominant way, okay? Lingling laughed, head tipping back. And God, she was so unfairly beautiful. Sure, sweetheart, she murmured, running her fingers slowly up Orm's thigh, watching as she squirmed. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Orm was losing her mind. She needed more. She needed all of her. She grabbed Lingling by the collar and pulled her down again, crashing their lips together. Lingling growled against her mouth, pressing her deeper into the couch. Orm felt her entire world tilt. This wasn't a game anymore. This was dangerous. This was real, and she was falling. Hard.